Here's an interesting question. This person used to buy leads, sort of pre-qualified leads, from a lead broker, and now they've been running their own Google ads. They haven't done very well for themselves. So they're paying about $25 a lead, but only 9% of those leads are qualified. This is a really interesting question for me, kind of thing I like to geek out about. So I've gone and asked the question because when people say a lead's not qualified, they can mean all sorts of things, and they're very different ways of handling, for instance, spam or junk leads, or job seeker leads, or people out of the area, or people who can't afford what you want. So the first thing is figuring out why those leads aren't qualified. And we'll see in a couple of days if he actually answers or not. And then we've got two answers or two suggestions about this. This is pretty good. You need to qualify the leads and use offline conversions. The first thing is that he asks any tips on how I can get more qualified leads from the landing page. So the first thing to realize is that there is absolutely nothing that you can do on your landing page to get you more qualified leads. Let me explain that. At its most basic, a lead is qualified if they meet BANT, B-A-N-T, budget, authority, needs, and timing. They've got enough money. They have the authority to make the decision to buy from you. They need what you sell, and the timing, they want to move ahead reasonably quickly. They're not just in the looking for information stage. There is nothing that you can do or say on your landing page that will change anything about whether the person has enough money, whether they need what you, whether they have the authority to buy, make the buying decision, whether they need what you sell, or when they're going to sell that. So just bear that in mind. The key to getting better qualified leads from Google Ads is to show your ads to people who are qualified. Google's got some targeting options that we can use to improve showing ads to more targeted, to more people who are more likely to be qualified. Those are things like the locations. You can tighten the location targeting up to only people who are in or regularly in that area. Show your ads only in areas where people are more likely to be to match your target market. Keywords that you can use to target that. You have device level targeting. If you're a business to business supplier, it might make more sense to show ads to people on their computers rather than people on their mobile phones. And you've got the time, the ad schedule. Again, if you're B2B, you can show ads mostly during office hours. If you are getting a lot of junk leads, you can look at when they're coming in. Don't show your ads in the middle of the night, that sort of thing. But all of these only give us very limited control. Google's location targeting is inaccurate, and it's also quite broad. The narrowest setting is people who are in your area or who are regularly in. So you could have someone, if you're targeting rich people, you could have somebody meeting that who's poor, but they work for a rich person in a rich person's area. Keyword matching is pretty loose. There's not a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. We can do our best to control that. So other than that, we have to accept that that we can't control everything. The thing to think about is giving Google signals about who we think is likely to be a qualified lead. And there are a couple of levels at which we can do that signaling. The first time we can signal to Google that this person is likely to be a qualified lead is through the ad copy. What we're going to do is we're going to write ad copy that repels people who are not likely to be qualified, so that they'll not click on our ad, and we send that signal to Google. Now, this isn't perfect because people are curious and people don't read that well. But for instance, I have a client who sells software training to companies, and so we put the price of her software training in the ad, and that helped to repel people who are looking for free software training or a cheap course on Udemy or some YouTube videos or something like that. None of this is perfect. The second thing that we can do is we can use the the copy on the landing page to repel people who are not likely to convert. So if they haven't read the ad, they click the ad anyway, they get to the page, and then we can then use the page to describe who the right kind of customer is, and so that those people won't fill in a form or call or use WhatsApp or whatever to contact. So we're sending another signal, is that these kinds of people don't convert and become a lead. The next thing that we can do is that we can tell Google which leads are qualified, and that was referred to in this comment over here. Is use offline conversion to tell Google those leads you want, and over time you'll see that improve. And that's exactly right. So what you need to do is say to Google, using the offline conversion upload facility, this is either something that you do very roughly through a spreadsheet, or you wire up Zapier to do something like that, or your CRM system has this built in. And so for my clients, I give them a button on every lead email that you get. You've received a new lead, blah, 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 with all the details. Is this lead qualified or not? And once they've spoken to the lead, they click the qualified button, and that then sends that data up to Google, so that Google can start learning about the ideal customer for your unique business. Initially, I set this kind of conversion action to be a secondary conversion action, because it's not used for optimizing campaigns. But once we've got enough of those qualified lead conversions, sort of 15 or more per month, it feels like it's working to switch to ask Google to get more qualified leads rather than just to get more leads. And then the final signal that we can do is actually one step back in the conversion process. So we've filtered out on the ads, we filtered out on the landing pages. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not counting any kind of unqualified junk, people looking for jobs, spam form submissions, bot form submissions, and that sort of thing. We want to make sure we're not counting those as conversions in our conversion tracking system. So your form needs to have bulletproof anti-spam. Okay, that's it for today.